Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Western Spirit. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Dr. Gorka has been nominated by President-elect Donald Trump as a senior director for counterterrorism and the deputy assistant to the president. Dr. Gorka served as I think, in a similar position in the last Trump administration, and he's someone who we all know from his own show and hearing him in various other platforms. So, Dr. Gorka, it's a real pleasure to talk to you here in Israel today.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Gorka, I want to first open with something that happened in the last few days. Last night, the president-elect wrote on his Truth Social about the hostages situation here and threatened that if Hamas doesn't release the hostages by January 20th, when he comes into office, there will be hell to pay. Can you maybe expound on what that means and what we should expect from a new Trump presidency?
Not really. It would be inappropriate for me to do so. But I think you can draw the requisite conclusions by how President Trump led America and the West the first time he was in the Oval Office. We stood by everyone who wishes to be our friend, especially Israel. President Trump is the most philo-Semitic president since the rebirth of Israel in 1948. So Prime Minister Netanyahu, the IDF and Israel will enjoy the support of the commander-in-chief as soon as he is sworn in on January the 20th. But as regards concrete policies, it would not be appropriate for me to detail this.
Understood. Can we just in general talk about, you mentioned that he would be very pro-Israel, but in general, maybe just a little bit about where you think, I know you spoke about this in various other places, the Biden administration was sort of not good for Israel or not good even for America. That's obvious, but not good for Israel in the way, what would be the differences in the way President Trump, not on specific policy, but the way he looks at America's friends like Israel rather than the way President Biden did? This episode is brought to you by Globius, the go-to agency for scaling brands on Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and more. Are you running a brand and wondering how to take things to the next level? Whether you're already selling on Amazon or thinking about it, Globius has an amazing offer for our listeners. They're giving away a free market research and action plan to help you understand your market, analyze your competition, and uncover growth opportunities. Here's how it works. Hop on a quick call with the Globius team, and they'll do all the heavy lifting, from analyzing your category to crafting a custom roadmap for your success. No catch, no commitment, just actionable insights tailored to your brand. To grab this offer, visit globius.io/podcast or click the link in the show notes. Don't miss the chance to get expert advice and a clear path to grow your brand. Now let's get back to the show.
Well, let's be very specific. The Democrat Party is an anti-Semitic party full of Jew haters. Whether it's Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, or even AOC, these are proud supporters of the anti-Semitic boycott, divestment, sanction movement. We have Rashida Tlaib, her first day in office as a Democrat congresswoman. She puts a post-it note on the map of the Middle East in her congressional office, obliterating the nation of Israel with the word Palestine, replacing the word Israel on the map. We have Ilhan Omar tweeting about the Jews, quote, have hypnotized the West, and it's all about the quote-unquote Benjamins, which is the slang for $100 bill, you know, the classic anti-Semitic slurs. This is the modern Democrat Party. You have the current incumbent, after his failed Middle East peace mission, landing in Germany and talking to the press on the back of Air Force One. You can see the video today about the so-called hospital bombing in Gaza, which was first blamed on Israel, and then we found out it was Hamas rockets. And what does he say on camera to the White House press corps? He says, I guess those guys need to learn to shoot straight. That's Joe Biden saying the jihadists need to be able to kill more Jews more accurately. This is the insanity of a Democrat Party we do not recognize. This is not the party of JFK or Scoop Jackson. This is a radical left-wing, pro-Antifa, pro-Hamas, pro-BLM nation that is a party that is fundamentally anti-American. So, you know, the difference between the Biden Kamala Harris administration and the second Trump administration couldn't be more stark. As I said, when we were in the White House the first time, when I was asked, so what is President Trump's foreign policy and national security policy? I'd literally just come from 2.5 years working with the Marine Corps as a professor in Quantico, and I borrowed a line from the Marine Corps. I said, under President Trump, no better friend, no worse enemy. If you are a friend of America's, like Israel, the UK, and so forth, we will be your friend and we will stand by you. If you are a threat to Judeo-Christian civilization, like Iran, like other nations, like threat groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, woe betide you, because American leadership is back. It's really quite that simple.
Dr. Gorka, do you think from now until January 20th, America's and Israel's enemies were in danger that they might use this time, knowing that once President Trump is in office, they won't have a chance to do what they would wish to do? So are we in some danger, do you think, until you guys get into power, for some sort of escalation of the tensions here?
Well, I mean, the situation is disturbing, because we have a senile old man in the White House who thinks that, Angola is a city and not a nation. That's what he said yesterday as he was running to Africa just after he pardoned his felonious son for multiple crimes that his son had committed. So that is the man who within, 30 feet has the nuclear football launch codes with him every single day. So yes, we have a problem with who's in charge of the most mighty defense capacity in the world. And then we have bad actors. We have China, the global jihadi movement, Iran, and North Korea, and others who may see the next 40 odd days as a window for them to do something. But I think the rational actors amongst them probably understand that if they did do something of that nature, there would be hell to pay come 12 o'clock, come 12:01 on January the 20th. So question is, are they rational actors or not? And do they understand that President Trump is only weeks away from being once again the commander-in-chief?
One thing that we did see after October 7th in the US was these campus riots. I mean, my family lives next to, my aunt lives next to NYU, and I went to visit her, and we saw these crazy protests outside of Jewish centers that really had nothing to do with Israel even, and just Jewish restaurants and the Hillel House and all these other Jewish places, and obviously also Israeli places. And one of the things that President Trump, I think, himself spoke about was the need to do real reform on these types of issues. So what can Jewish Americans expect? This is not a foreign policy issue, so maybe be more comfortable talking about what can we expect inside of America on campuses and in general on these types of things?
Well, look, we have this, thank the good Lord, we have this unique situation whereby our Constitution protects the First Amendment rights of people to speak freely. However, there needs to be some consequence for institutions that receive billions of dollars every year of federal funding, like the Ivy League colleges, to not allow the propagation of anti-Semitic and genocidal language. And this isn't just with reference to our Jewish students and Jewish population. If you are threatening the security, the safety of any group based upon their ethnicity, their religious identity, their skin color, I'm sorry, there are consequences to be paid for that. If you think that the government will fund an institution that is encouraging or allowing that kind of abuse of the civil rights of American students or visiting foreigners, then no, I mean, there will be consequences. We can't have the funding of genocidal language from government sources for these entities simply because they're too afraid to address whether it's anti-Semitism or any kind of other genocidal language.
One thing that we've been talking about here in Israel since President Trump has been reelected, which I have to say is personally very happy for me, but also I think most Israelis, he enjoyed like a 90% approval rating in Israel for the election. So I think Israelis knew what was right. But also we've been speaking about this woke culture. The vice president who ran against the incoming president was, I think, a woke candidate in every single issue. And we learned, and give me maybe your opinion about this. We learned that woke is a lot weaker than expected or than we thought. Where do you, is this the end of woke in America?
Some conservative commentators, and a couple of them are friends of mine, have already made this statement in the last 4 weeks, and I don't think it's time to quite pop the champagne corks right now. Look, what the president did was truly stunning. A man who has been besmirched and smeared for 9 years, called a misogynist, a racist, an anti-Semite, a white supremacist. This individual has received the adulation and the support in record numbers from the Latino community, from the Black community, even from, white suburban women that we were told hate Donald Trump. I mean, right. Starr County in Texas, can we stop for a second? Starr County in Texas is 93% Hispanic, and they voted for President Trump. They haven't voted for a Republican candidate since 1870 or something. So, the power of wokeness, I think, has been demonstrated to be far less than it is. But to say that it's dead and a stake has been driven through its heart, I think that's early. Why? Because you have to look at the institutions. Yes, the people have spoken with not just an electoral college victory, but an incredible popular vote victory against, the DEI hire that was Kamala Harris. But when it comes to the institutions that have permanence of power, whether it's academe, whether it's media, whether it's, the tech giants, there's only one non-woke platform of any size in social media that is pro-freedom of speech, and that's Twitter. If Elon Musk an immigrant hadn't bought Twitter for $40 billion, I'm not sure we would have seen the American people take back their country on November the 5th. So, no, it's a monumental success for the forces of anti-wokeness. But, as long as Hollywood, academe, Facebook, Google are still in those positions of undemocratic, censorious power, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and also I think that, and maybe I know you've been tweeting about this in the past few days about Donald Trump's nominee to be the Secretary of Defense. It seems that people who are designed to be disruptors, people who are designed to change the system, change all these things that you just mentioned, are being basically trying to chase them out of getting in. We just had Pete's mother, I saw on Fox News, explaining like they were taking her personal emails. Someone leaked the papers to him, behind the scenes, family issues. Do you think we should look at what's happening here?
Well, it's very simple. The unelected, unaccountable elite want to sabotage the will of 76 million Americans. I think it's quite stunning. President Trump broke the historic record for an incumbent president with 74 million votes 4 years ago. And he just broke that record a month ago with almost 3 million more votes than he received in 2020. But the unelected bureaucrats, what has colloquially been termed the deep state, the un-American elitist, you could call it globalist, if you will, anti-populist forces in the media, in the bureaucracy, in the beltway, in the lobbying sectors around Washington, D.C., they want to stop President Trump and his choices. I mean, think about it. Pete Hegseth is a combat veteran with Bronze Stars. This is a man who wrote a book this year on what has to happen to reform the Pentagon. Of course they want to stop him. Of course they're going to harass his mother. Of course they're going to lie about him. My friend Kash Patel, who I have been lobbying for weeks to be named as the FBI director, is now being sold to us as somebody who's unqualified, a man with 16 years in government service, who was a counterterrorism prosecutor, chief investigator for the Intelligence Committee of Congress, a man who was chief of staff of the whole of the Pentagon, had my position, the one I've been nominated for, as chief of counterterrorism in the White House. Oh, and then, by the way, was deputy head of national intelligence. That guy is unqualified. It tells you everything you need to know. They must try to stop President Trump. They tried it with an assassin's bullet. They failed. Now they're going to do it with trying to sabotage the confirmation of his nominees. But this is what the American people voted for. They voted for disruption, and they voted for accountability, and they voted for America first. And that's why we're witnessing what we're witnessing.
Yeah. So maybe one last question about how many of, do you think that actually the nominees, once they get in, to how much of a degree will Congress and the Senate and the House help to promote President Trump's agenda of, first of all, America first, but second of all, rooting out all these people in the deep state, like you said, who are going to try to stop and obstruct and all these types of things?
Well, that depends upon whether or not the individuals concerned on Capitol Hill understand what America did on November the 5th. It's very simple. Mm-hmm. Either you get on board the America First agenda and the Drain the Swamp agenda, or you, as a congressman, a senator, or anyone else, will likely pay very, very, very heavy political consequences in the elections in 2 years' time or 4 years' time. The American people have spoken. White, yellow, brown, every class have spoken, from Elon Musk to the bodega owner in Harlem who joined in the chant, "We love you, Trump," when President Trump stopped there. I mean, think about it. We are seeing a political movement. I was in Butler when the president returned. This is working class Pennsylvania. This is rural Pennsylvania. And the president is still speaking. He's about 20 minutes in, and I'm literally in the next row behind J.D. Vance and Elon Musk. And behind me, I mean, we had people till the horizon. It was so full. Behind me, amongst the spectators, this chant, this organic chant begins of Elon, Elon. And I'm thinking, what is going on here? President Trump is still talking. They've realized Elon Musk is in the front row. And rural Pennsylvanians are chanting the name of an African immigrant tech billionaire. This is like, if you read that in a novel, you'd say, it's not plausible. But this is what has happened to, I've written a piece for Breitbart that will be out tomorrow probably. And the title, if Alex keeps it, the title is How President Trump Broke Politics. And he broke politics because we're seeing a unification across every demographic, every kind of societal category, which is a threat to the vested interests in the lobbying industry, in the Beltway bandits, in big pharma, big oil, consulting firms, you name it. And the American people have spoken. Will Capitol Hill get in line? They better, or they'll pay the political consequences 2 years from now.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka, it's a pleasure talking to you. And I have to say congratulations on your nomination, and we'll look forward to see you in action.
God bless you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Ariel.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to the Western Spirit Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. See you next time.